Javi Lopez, a veteran of the Red Sox, a veteran of the Giants. Javi, it is great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on 310 to Left.
Well, I appreciate you reaching out, Lenny. Alex, good to see you guys. It's been a while.
No
Can
kidding.
I say that obviously one of us is aging in dog years, and one of us is you're like Benjamin Button over here. You haven't changed in 20 years, so good on you, man.
Wow, thank you. I only the finest juices and berries for me. What can I say?
Lotions and creams, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's all be focused on antioxidants. I could use a few this morning after having a late night trying to make sense of this. But Javi, like really grateful for you to be able to join because you have the perspective of as a 4-time World Series champion with the Red Sox as well as 3 times with the Giants. You know Buster Posey. You know about you know about the Giants culture. You followed that team closely. You know what Rafael Devers will mean to them. You also had the experience of being a part of a Red Sox championship team, and then seeing Manny Ramirez traded in 2008. So, how much, as you saw this Devers trade going down, was that your parallel? Did you think this is kind of like what I saw in 2008 with Manny?
I think there was a little bit of that. I feel like when I looked at this trade, it was kind of interesting. I was calling the series for the Giants with the Rockies, and so I was out there in Denver, and Buster shows up on the last day, and he's just telling me, we really need an impact bat. We really need an impact bat. And I was like, yeah, you have nothing but arms. People always need starting pitching. And in my mind, I was thinking, maybe something with the Orioles who've had a down year. And there's always been conversation about the Red Sox. And even if you look at Rafi Devers, I was like, man, that's a big contract to take for the Giants, but it would be an interesting piece. And we just kind of were talking back and forth. And then he doesn't show any cards or anything. And then next thing you know, he pulls off this trade. And it made me think more, not so much with the Manny trade, other than Manny was a little disgruntled, I guess, in 2008 from what I remember. And I could see that aspect of it, but as far as it's just for me, it's just more recent. So it would have been that Mookie Betts, like you're moving on from a guy that you picked as your cornerstone piece, and now the Red Sox again are out trying to figure this out. So I think it's a great move for the Giants to get an impact bat. They've needed one for a while, and for the Red Sox, it's an interesting one because it's a lot of guys that Kyle Harrison is an intriguing piece. He hasn't reached his full potential. There's been flashes of it, but it's a guy that struggles with consistency with his command. The velocity at the top rail of his fastball plays. The opponent, the OPS on that is pretty low. So it is just something where they need to try to figure out how to refine that. And maybe Andrew Bailey has that. He has some experience with him. Jordan Hicks, we've already seen what kind of power arm he has in high leverage spots with the Cardinals. And even with the Giants, he was able to pitch out of the pen. But his velocity kind of disappears at times, and that'll be something for them to figure out as well. And Tibbs, you never know, right? It's a first-round pick from last year, so that guy, they might strike, but you never know. And Bello, same kind of thing. Like, you don't know what you have. He's such a young pitcher. But for the Giants' needs, it's a great move.
So you had seen a lot of cuts. Oh, go ahead, Lenny.
No, for me, I'm looking at this and the return. I mean, there's a lot of what ifs, maybes. Can they help the team out? But for me, when I look at the move overall, this just tells me they wanted to get rid of Devers. Because you've got some what ifs. You've got the Andrew Bailey effect, and maybe he could turn these youngsters around and kind of get something out of the berry, so to speak. But looking at it, it's so lopsided because this is, again, a cornerstone athlete. This guy's been around quite some time. He's been very consistent throughout his career. That just tells me it's a dump, right? Just kind of dump the contract, go out there and get whatever you can at the time and just move on from there. I don't know if everybody agrees with that, but it's kind of the way I looked at it right away.
Yeah, I do think that is a valid point when you look at it. I mean, again, it's a guy that you've extended just a couple years ago. So can things sour that quickly for one of the greatest hitters in baseball right now? I mean, what's got over 900 OPS, and I mean he's just been one of the top players and one of the key bats that you've clearly identified as a person that you wanted to extend. So there's something behind the scenes there. You guys obviously will tap into that a little bit better than I can, but there is something going on there. And for me, big picture, when I look back at this, I was like, all right, so you're paying him $27 million, right? Because he had that signing bonus. So yeah, you're on $27 million for the rest of this way, and that's a lot. There's no question about that. But you're looking at the free agency landmark market, like the upcoming guys. Maybe I think Kyle Tucker would probably be the number one on that list, and you just had Vlad Guerrero signed for 500. So it's hard to say this and not smile, but $27 million might be a bargain.
Yeah, I had been, increasingly, especially when Vlad Guerrero signed for $500 million. He's 1 year age difference from Rafael Devers, and it's like, well, the reason why Vlad Guerrero got signed was because of his bat. And so if you were just to compare apples to apples, Vlad's bat and Rafi's bat, like the distinction is not that great. Like these are both these are both spectacular hitters who, you probably put in the top, in the top 10 to 20 hitters in all of baseball. Devers right now has been, to me, the best version that I've ever seen of him. You mentioned Buster Posey's interest in finding that bat. Like, as someone who follows the Giants closely, can you just explain, like, how difficult has it been for the Giants to find the true superstar bat? How much has this been a years-long project for them, to kind of chase the white whale of, like, can we find one of the game's truly elite offensive contributors?
Well, you've seen it with free agency, and Buster Posey was the guy that they brought in to be a closer for a couple of them with Bryce Harper and maybe some of the other ones while he was still playing. Just ultimately, they never got the rose at the end of this, and that's the ultimate issue for the Giants. And they've done a great job developing pitching, and I think that's the strength that they have. They have arms in AAA, and they've got some young talent up there in the big leagues now. It's starting pitching, not only relievers, but starting pitching that they could at least entertain, maybe making another move. But it's one of those organizations where you're going to have to develop pitching and trade it to get a bat. That's just kind of where it's been. Free agents don't want to go there to play. And that's the one thing about baseball, right? You can set up your team however you want because you can set up your ballpark however you want. And Giants have always been about pitching and defense for success at Oracle. And it's happened. I mean, they've been able to win. I was part of 3 championships there. So it's not that the formula doesn't work. It's just not always the sexiest formula for a lot of sports fans. When you got a lot of 3-2 ball games, you do enjoy a blowout with a bunch of homers. And so I do think that is something that the Giants are trying to find a way to get to 4 runs, because if they get to 4 runs, they got a decent chance of winning a lot of ball games. Even this weekend, they lose 2 or 3 to the Dodgers, but you're still 1 game out. And you look at the 2 lineups, and there's a stark contrast between what the Dodgers are running out there and what the Giants are running out there. So an impact bat, middle of the order bat, a guy that likes to play every day. It's going to hopefully prove to be very beneficial for the Giants. But again, it just gives you not only that, it gives you a balance with a lefty as well, being that impact bat.
Yeah, I mean, at 41-30, like you said, 1 game back. Last 10, they're 8-2. Oftentimes we look at the trade deadline to make that run. But if you can, why not start earlier? You could go on a run with a guy like Devers. When you have a bat like that in the lineup, you could overtake the Dodgers. Not many people can say that in the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years, right? This is a team that, if you have the opportunity to go do that, why not go out and take advantage now? Why wait till the trade deadline if an opportunity arises?
Yeah, I think it was a great move. It was a little shrewd. Again, Breslow, just like I know Breslow. We were teammates and stuff. So even watching the Netflix series, like he leans on being a little risk averse, right? And I think a lot of GMs and front office baseball presidents probably would lean on that side. But again, it speaks to maybe something was going on in that relationship, and it was kind of, and they rather just move on from that. And I think Buster, to his credit, just went ahead, just like you're saying, take advantage of that opportunity where, you throw out a couple prospects and see what it takes. And ultimately it was enough for Breslow and the Giants to make the move, and the Red Sox to make the move. So it's an important piece. And you're right. If you can make this trade in June, go ahead and do it before that asking price gets too high. And ultimately it was enough for Breslow to make it. And again, for the Giants, it's a great position. Like, who knows where he's not going to play third. We got Matt Chapman there. So does that drama follow him to San Francisco? We'll find out. But I think as of right now, it's just definitely, they got the best player in the deal. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, I guess it's worth asking along those lines. San Francisco is a tough park to hit in. That said, Devers, we know that there's plenty of pull power. He has all fields power. He's always benefited from Fenway Park being able to drive it out to left center. How do you see that skill set, like his power being able to translate? Are there going to be a bunch of happy kayaks in McCovey Cove? I guess is the way of asking it.
Yeah, I do think he's going to have the pull power, and I think they've been looking for that piece. And obviously Barry Bonds is just, he made it look so easy being able to flip the ball out in the McCovey Cove. But that lefty bat is such an important bat in that lineup because, again, that left field line plays pretty, or right field line plays pretty quick. So you can get some off that out of town scoreboard, make some things happen. And, if you want to make fun of his conditioning and all that, I bet you he's going to have a couple triples out there too. He likes to, just like Fenway Park, it's that deep right center field that's going to get a lot of action with his kind of swing path. And I think that is a great bat for him to have. And of course, I think he'll sacrifice a few of the home runs. That's kind of, Lenny will tell you, playing in the Bay, playing in that series, it's just what it is. You sacrifice some of that power, but there's plenty of hits to be had in that ballpark.